joining Smodish and then Spiegel. Papaloukas, the man we talked about at the top, he always comes off the bench despite being, as they call, the heart and soul of the team. And as we mentioned, CSKA Moscow defeating the LA Clippers. Smodish has been their leading scorer. Iverson and company will have their hands full with him.
This game is a representative of what David Stern told the assembled masses at lunch today, the globalization of basketball. You have Samuel D'Alembert from Haiti. You have the three Americans playing for CSKA Moscow, the old Red Army team coached by the legendary Hall of Famer Alexander Gomelski. But right now, this game is going to be about pace, Mike. It's going to be about Philadelphia getting back on defense. Blazing quickness of J.R. Holden in the backcourt, the former Bucknell star. And what kind of game will Allen Iverson have? 18 points in the first quarter alone last night, head-to-head against Steve Nash, 23 in the first half.
Now we've got two NBA reps, Bernie Fryer and Tom Washington, and one rep from Europe, Nikos Pitspilskis from Greece. As we play majority NBA rules, it's hybrid rules. There's some ones that go with the FIBA rules or the international ones. We'll explain them in a bit. As Willie Green's first shot of the night, D'Alembert gets tied up with Vendem Spiegel. And everybody okay.
The combination of Weber and Iverson as the veterans, 11 and 14 years respectively, and then you've got the remarkable athletes of Willie Green, Andre Iguodala, and Samuel D'Alembert. If that group can blend together, Maurice Cheeks can really improve on last year's 38-win record, losing their last 6 games after coming into the final 10 days of the season at 38 apiece.
There's Smodish. He's their leading scorer. Had a good game last night, blocked by D'Alembert, who had a couple of rejections in last night's victory against the Phoenix Suns. And a foul. And Smodish called for the reach-in. They will play 6 fouls and you're out like the NBA. Normally international is 5. And you're disqualified.
Stepping out, trying to slow down Allen Iverson. Looks like he just lost his balance. That's why you always try to keep the head directly over the midpoint between the 2 feet. But you'll always see Samuel D'Alembert come to that ball. 6th in average blocks per game, 8th in total blocks a year ago.
Iguodala will inbound. CSKA Moscow beat Maccabi Tel Aviv last night, and the Sixers beating the Suns, and that's why they're matched up in this game. Weber guarded by Langdon on the mismatch. Shot clock down to 4. Nice pass. Green to D'Alembert.
Nice to see, Mike, that you've come around to the bright side. Last night that was an air ball, and tonight it's a pass.
Well, you need to explain this to the fans who weren't fortunate enough to watch as Langdon has his shot blocked. Green had a play like that last night, but D'Alembert was nowhere to be found to dunk it in, and it looked like an air ball. As a foul, as Holden with a hold on Iverson.
You love the little guys who come in the lane, they draw the defenders and just throw it up. D'Alembert as gifted as anyone coming up at his level at the NBA right now to be able to get above the rim and throw it down.
You don't think that CSKA Moscow wants to win this game badly? They've already called a timeout, less than 90 seconds in. Just hanging on the rim, once it hit initially, you can knock it off, and it's not goaltending.
And the offensive player can come in and spike it down as well.
Correct. He was obviously a little late, and here we see the zone defense. A zone defense which has given the NBA teams some struggles. As Chris Weber shuffled his pivot foot and a traveling violation.
That will be one of the points of emphasis, Mike, in this year's NBA season. Calling traveling at the start of moves, which gives the offensive players an untenable advantage.
The NBA feeling that need to be cleaned up a little bit by the referees. There's Smodish. He's an inside-outside performer. Good three-point range, not that time, as Iguodala comes away.
Philadelphia looks so much better to start this game than they did last night when they were pounded by Steve Nash and Phoenix.
D'Alembert goes up. He's fouled. And then Spiegel.
CSKA Moscow,
and 2 shots for Samuel D'Alembert. And we talk about the growth of the Sixers, Bill, and for them to, again, get back into the postseason. D'Alembert now in his 5th year. He needs to stay healthy and continue his progress.
He missed 16 games last year. A variety of injuries, mostly, though, the quadriceps injury that slowed him at the start, and he never really got going. Chris Weber, though, telling us that he feels that Samuel D'Alembert, if he lives up to his potential, can one day lead the NBA in blocks and rebounds.
He's had a pretty busy summer, D'Alembert, not only here in Europe in training camp. He's very active in the Basketball Without Borders. He was in Lithuania this year. Very charitable young man is Trajan Langdon, the former Duke star who had a brief stint with the Cleveland Cavaliers. He knocks it down for CSKA Moscow's first points.
A lottery pick for Cleveland so many years ago now. This is his third season in Moscow. Really enjoys his life there. The season in Moscow is about 9 months, and players live in downtown apartments there, enjoying the urban life of that great city, Moscow.
He's had a very nice career since coming over to Europe, as has David Vanderpool. Vanderpool, a former St. Bonaventure star back in the States, who's also been very productive in Europe, as we have another foul. Langdon, as we mentioned, with Duke. They went to the championship game in '99, lost to UConn. And then after his Blue Devil career, number 11th pick in '99 with Cavaliers. Most points he averaged in the season were 6 a game. Now really enjoying a stellar European career.
That was a period of time tough for Trajan Langdon because the Cavaliers were in decline. And like most of the Duke players, they need to be in very positive situations. Offensive foul, they wave it off and send it the other way.
Iguodala goes crashing into Van Den Spiegel. And that's a second foul. And this is what you'll see a lot in international play. The big men don't necessarily go for block shots. They step in and draw many, many charges. That's more of their emphasis defensively.
Iguodala to the bench, and now they bring in Kyle Korver. You mentioned Basketball Without Borders. Kyle Korver was involved in the program down in Johannesburg, South Africa this summer, and that was a fabulous experience. Everyone who went there, their lives were changed irreparably.
Korver, meanwhile, had 20 points last night against the Suns. Langdon, not that time, and Weber, with those big hands, grabs the rebound.
Not only big hands, Mike, but extremely soft, sensitive hands. Beautiful back cut.
And then Spiegel deflects the pass. Good defense from CSKA Moscow.
There's that rotation, homing the ball violation on Holden.
That's the Vanderpool call for it. There's the crowd whistling their displeasure. And you see last season with the bench scoring, in terms of production numbers, they weren't one of the better benches in the NBA, but they got big help from Korver last night, from Rodney Carney, the rookie from Memphis.
29th in a 30-team league for a flagship franchise like Philadelphia is unacceptable.
That's why you expect some of the rookies like Carney, or Charlie Carney might be the only rookie, to get some significant minutes. Also need Willie Green to return to form after his injury. Up shot won't go. Modish.
Beautiful box out by CSKA.
Here's J.R. Holden, and Holden able to put it in. Holden, a very good point guard from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, who played his college ball at Bucknell. Never made pro in the United States, but he's had a terrific career here in Europe.
5th year now with CSKA for J.R. Holden, who finishes the 10th leading scorer in Bucknell basketball history. And Holden is so fired up about playing head-to-head against AI here.
A kid from Pittsburgh is D'Alembert. And you shuffle his feet, or 24-second violation. That's the call. Shot clock violation. And Maurice Cheeks, of course, the former Sixer great, now his second year as head coach. Coached in Portland for 3 years, was an assistant for a long time in Philly.
6-time All-Star Maurice Cheeks.
Langdon. Langdon is considered one of the better shooting guards in the EuroLeague.
I like the way Langdon and all the CSKA players are pressuring up defensively. A great tribute to their fine coach, Ettore Messina.
They mix it up with their man-to-man in zone. Iverson. And a whistle as Iverson drove to the basket. Not the penalty yet.
Trying to crowd Allen Iverson. J.R. Holden right in his face. Moving up. Lurching, leaning, but Iverson just too good, too quick, and a player who led last year the NBA in free throws made and attempts will come back to the free throw line one more time.
So Holden picks up 2 quick fouls, and Theo Papaloukas comes in. Papaloukas last night in the victory over Maccabi Tel Aviv had a usual night for him. 10 assists, 0 turnovers. He's the old-fashioned heady point guard.
And at lunch today, Mike, when we had the chance to visit with Bill Russell, who's here part of the Legends Tour with Kiki Van de Wey and Daryl Dawkins, Bill Russell was commenting on how much he enjoyed watching Theo Papaloukas play. He said the head fakes, the little quirks, the little ticks reminded him so much of the legend Elgin Baylor.
He probably said, and I didn't hear him say this, but one of those he could have played with the old-time Celtics. He has that type of game, an old-fashioned game. As Iverson knocks down the first. Iverson, hard to believe that he's 31 years old, now in his 11th year in the NBA, and everybody's waiting for the production to go down. It's not happening.
It keeps going up.
He's playing more minutes, he's scoring more
assists, higher field goal percentage. June 7th was his birthday.
Weber just takes it out of Papaloukas' hands. 2-on-1. Iverson threw it a touch behind Korver, but Langdon touched it last, so the Sixers retain.
The explosiveness of Allen Iverson to be able to just put it into a higher gear. Maybe an opportunity there to bounce it just underneath the defender's hand rather than putting a little bit too much mustard on that hot dog.
Meanwhile, Korver knocks down a three. Korver with his first field goal, one of the better three-point shooters in the league. Anderson. Oh, nice pass. Sven den Spiegel. A 7-footer from Belgium. We saw a brief time in a camp with Golden State, but never played in the NBA. Weber shot misfires.
We're seeing a lot of big men executing shots that they just fake, which is the most difficult thing to do on offense for any offensive player.
And a moving screen set, I believe, by David Anderson. Reminder, NBA TV Tuesday. Maccabi Tel Aviv. I think you got Cleveland against the Cavaliers. Coverage begins at 7. Then TNT next Thursday. Clippers and Lakers. Coverage begins at 10. And on ESPN, it's the Rockets and the Heat, the defending champs, as we continue preseason action.
Really looking forward to LeBron James this year. And with their emphasis on calling the touch fouls from the perimeter, look for LeBron to be at the free throw line all season.
Ball deflected, but Iverson still comes away. Iverson, nice pass, Willie Green, and then Spiegel. Bad outlet pass, deflected off the head. It appears Vanderpool, and it's going to be Philadelphia ball as he gets a nice ovation.
Torrey Messina, the coach, second-year coach now for CSKA. Backs that were cut by the Sixers, Allen Iverson. They're going to collapse on him. He'll give that ball up. That's why you never throw the outlet pass down the middle of the court.
Or off the back of a teammate's head. And Weber, again, moved his pivot foot before he put it on the floor.
Now, generally, Mike, in basketball, when you hit a teammate in the head with the pass, he owes you a six-pack.
But that's when he's looking at you.
No, he's supposed to be looking at you.
All right.
And with a country that has 5,000 varieties of beer, what a selection.
Anton Pokrashov, the 20-year-old sharpshooter from Russia, has come into the game. That's him with the ball.
Sixers playing some zone defense of their own right now.
There's David Anderson from Australia. Vanderpool takes it away from Green, but can't convert. Now the Sixers, they can play a flat-out zone. They won't do it because it doesn't make any sense because it's not an NBA rule. Of course, in the NBA, you have the defense of 3 seconds. They won't call that here as part of the hybrid rules.
Not Samuel Dallenberg's play at this point in his career. Bring it out, reset through Korver and Iverson.
Papaloukas forced the shot as Dallenberg altered it. Last touch by Anderson. And we'll have timeout. Defense reigning early. Play a little sloppy. As neither team shooting well. The two teams have come. And Papaloukas with a reach-in foul, and they're in the penalty. Commissioner David Stern.
And just at the right of your screen, George Bodenheimer, president of ESPN and ABC, sports.
And you saw superfan Jimmy Goldstein sitting
Yes.
maybe the biggest NBA fan on the planet.
You know it's a big event if Jim Goldstein is here in October. Are we in October now?
Yes, we're still in October. I know you've been away for a while. Iverson.
I like the fact that Moscow is pressuring Iverson in the backcourt and not letting him get any sort of room to gather a head of steam.
Kontrashoff. That's Nikita Kurbanov, who just checked in as well. Pass inside. Kurbanov blocked down there with his second rejection. He had 7 in their first preseason game.
You cannot come to a stop against a shot blocker like Samuel Dallenberg. That just allows him all the time to recover and smother you over the top.
Vanderpool, who's 6'5", some size on Iverson as the shot clock winds down. Willie Green has to hoist it up. Just
a nice little deft touch passes by Theo Papaloukas. Number 4 with the ball. Here's his three-pointer.
Not a big score. We'll get 8 to 10 a game sometimes. Had a poor shooting night last night.
But he's a winner, and that's what it's about.
Trying to thread the needle there. Weber somehow got a hold of it. Good defense from Anderson. And Kontrashoff can't get it to fall. Knocked out of bounds. Torrey Messina talking last night for CSKA Moscow. They had a number of players play well. Trajan Langdon, as we mentioned, had a strong game, as did Smodish. Valtef Smodish. And David Anderson from Australia, former draft pick of the NBA, as they beat Maccabi Tel Aviv by 9 to advance to this game. Maccabi Tel Aviv then play the loser of the Phoenix-Philadelphia game. They played the Suns, and Phoenix winning earlier tonight.
119-102 after trailing a good part of the game, the Phoenix Suns did. Maccabi played very well.
More turnovers for the Sixers. They've got 6 already here in the opening period.
But Dallenberg is just covering up the basket area beautifully.
Blocked from behind by Korver, but also a foul. And Maciej Smodish will go to the line for a couple.
Dallenberg did not have a big game last night. It's tough for centers to play well against Phoenix because of Boris Diaw. But with Amari Stoudemire coming back, that all might change. Kurt Thomas playing again for Phoenix. But last night, not a solid performance for Dallenberg, already vastly improved.
Meanwhile, Smodish, the first one. Smodish is 26 years old. He's from Slovenia. He led CSKA Moscow in scoring last year when they won the EuroLeague championships. He says his dream is to play in Miami alongside Shaquille O'Neal and Alonzo Mourning. He was a huge Mourning fan growing up.
Isn't that the dream of most people?
That'd be a pretty big thing.
You have Shaq and Alonzo Mourning. You're not going to have a whole lot of worries out there about anything.
Philadelphia, you see, hitting their free throws in the early going. They struggle with that so far in the preseason.
It cost them dearly down in Barcelona, the opening game that they lost.
You see Rodney Carney, number 25, is in. The rookie so impressive last night. Iverson with a wide open look.
Allen Iverson bailing out Samuel Dallenberg. Kyle Korver has to realize that he just can't throw a normally crisp pass in there. Beautiful penetration and dish by Papaloukas.
Kontrashoff, there is the shooter. Kontrashoff, only 20 years old, member of the Russian national team. Iverson again. He had that stroke there and played so well early in the game and sat for a long time.
It was really the second unit that won that game for Maurice Cheeks in Philadelphia last night. Phoenix had pounded the first unit.
And a reach-in foul on Iverson. That'll be his first.
AI already looks to be in mid-season form. The crisp pass right through the hands of Samuel Dallenberg. Fortunately, the fortuitous bounce by right to Allen Iverson, and then he isolates against Papaloukas, who doesn't have the quickness, who does, to stay against Allen Iverson one-on-one. Already with 9 points, perfect from the free throw line.
Papaloukas with the first. Greece, we mentioned defeating the United States in the World Championships. They wound up winning the silver medal. They're a country that just recently really have come a long way on the international scene. Very competitive now.
Papaloukas had 12 assists in that game over in Japan. Interesting about Papaloukas, his cell phone ringtone, it plays a song, "I'm living a dream, please don't wake me up."
Nice pass, Iverson to D'Alembert. And Philadelphia up by 8, their largest lead in the opening quarter. Good defense here from the Sixers is Langdon. Anderson left open that time, however, blocked for the goaltender. Now, again, it ball hits the rim, then you can knock it off, but they still have goaltending in international play.
But it's a good idea for D'Alembert to go for that. That'll put a little intimidation and some fear right in the hearts and minds. I'm not quite sure about that call. And oftentimes when a referee hasn't seen a player of D'Alembert's physical gifts, will just make an automatic call saying, how could anyone make a block like that?
So you're blaming the ref from Greece.
Yes, you are.
Okay. Carney, good shooter. Not that time. Smodish. And final half minute here of the opening period. Philadelphia, their big goal is to become a better team defensively. They played good defense here in the first quarter. And it's David Anderson with his second field goal.
And that good defense is a carryover from the second half of last night, Mike. In the first half, Phoenix last night was just on fire offensively. It was Steve Nash and Boris Diaw all the way, but then they clamped it down in the second half, and it held Phoenix for the game to 42% shooting.
You look last season, they were not a good defensive team. Team shooting 46% against them. Shot clock is turned off as we wind down the opening period.
Zone defense here, which always causes the teams from the USA a ton of problems.
Nice defense from Pokrashov. And here's the buzzer ending the opening period. Philadelphia defense is the story as they hold CSKA Moscow to 30% shooting from the field. Allen Iverson with 9 points to lead.
Everyone going back home after 2 weeks here in Europe tomorrow.
And as much as they've enjoyed the experience, everybody can't wait to get home. The players really want to get back home. Pokrashov, nice move inside on Carney. A couple of young future stars, perhaps. They've had big hopes for Pokrashov here in Europe. Sixers big hopes for Carney.
Messina is showing us why he's the winner of the Alexander Gomelsky Award as the Euro Coach of the Year. He has just got size, strength, different looks on Iverson every time defensively.
Iverson falling away. Pelton got hit. Pokrashov got a piece of it. Papaloukas lost the handoff. And reach in. Pokrashov that time. And there's Messina. Messina won a EuroLeague title when he was in Italy. He was coach of CSKA Moscow when they won the Euro title. Italian national team coach as well for 4 years. You know, you look at where they play back in Russia, and their arena, their home arena, capacity is only 5,000. So to play in an arena like this with big crowds, it's been fun for their players as well.
In his remarkable coaching career, this is Messina's first stop outside of Italy.
Korver knocks down the three. Shavlik Randolph and Alan Henderson have checked in, meanwhile, for the 76ers.
Solid pickup, Alan Henderson, who played with Cleveland a year ago, the former Indiana University star.
Henderson that time a foul, and Smodish with a chance for a three-point play. Alan Henderson signed a free agent deal now in his 12th year in the league. This is his 4th team in the last 4 years. He started with Atlanta, played there his first 9 seasons, then Dallas, Cleveland, and now Philadelphia. Won't play a lot of minutes unless there's an injury, but the minutes he'll play, he's the type of player, Bill, that if he could sit for 5 or 6 games, if he's called upon in that 7th game, he's ready to go.
And you can put him in any type of situation. The background that he got at IU, the family that he comes from, plans to pursue a medical career after his playing days are over. This is a first-class guy on and off the court.
2-point lead for Philly. Here's Shavlik Randolph, another former Duke player, and he shuffled his feet. Seen a lot of travels. Sixers, that's been one of their problems, as most teams in the preseason, sloppy and turn the ball over.
But their defense is so good right now, Mike. They're holding Moscow to 25% ball below.
Now it's up. They hit a couple of shots now. They're going to call a travel. Akbashov shuffled his feet prior to getting mauled. He doesn't believe the call. For Philadelphia, really one key player they lost was John Salmons,
who went to Sacramento with a big contract.
And Carney, of course, expected. Henderson, Bobby Jones, and Ivan McFarland, two rookies that have to fight to make the team. Carney.
Like, I think one of the things that the Sixers are going to have to deal with is the fact that so much of the talk in the offseason was to trade AI and Chris Webber.
Well, they both were involved throughout the summer. And Iverson, it seems, last several years, every year his name's been brought up. But Billy King, the general manager, recently said that he's staying. He doesn't anticipate a deal. Iverson, who has always dealt with the trade rumors pretty well, said, "I'm a Sixer at heart." And even though the Sixers don't have a chance of winning a championship probably in the next couple of years, he seems to really want to stay now. I've seen so many big players later on in their careers want to go to a championship team. Vanderpool was stripped. Kevin Ollie got a piece of it.
But I don't ever visualize Allen Iverson as a role player. I think he'll be a marquee player at the top of the league scoring. You saw that his career scoring average is third in the history of basketball behind Wilt and Michael Jordan.
All right, would you have said the same about Karl Malone? And he wound up playing a role in his last couple of years. Well, sometimes it all depends.
I don't think Allen Iverson's going to play as long as Karl Malone did. And Karl only had the 1 year where he wasn't the franchise.
Gary Payton, another example of a former real star, future Hall of Famer, playing a role now. Kevin Ollie, one of the ultimate role players in the league currently. He's made a career out of it.
The Crenshaw High star, along with Marcus Johnson, Willie West, the legendary coach at Crenshaw High, been there forever.
Yeah, Smodish goes to the basket and is fouled, and we'll have a timeout. Just over 3 minutes gone.
Left and missed practice. He went to practice in a league provided extra van, and he got to practice, and Maurice Cheek had taken the team up to the top of the hill.
He had changed their plan to cancel practice for a little sightseeing, and Smith was obviously panicked.
Is that the worst feeling in the world? Where are my teammates? But Rodney Carney, Bobby Jones, and Ivan McFarland, they took over on Lean On Me.
Mo Cheeks decided not to discipline him, said that the stuff he was going to take from his teammates was more than enough punishment. Corbin, tough shot over Van Den Spiegel. Akbashov, a big 7-footer running it, but lost the handle, knocked out of bounds, and CSKA Moscow ball. Dallenberg returns for Philadelphia. J.R. Holden is back for Moscow.
Van Den Spiegel's got a nice sense for the game. The ability to slide over, and not block shots, but intimidate and force guys into poor footwork and then get out in transition.
Iverson back. As is Vanderpool.
Holden playing with the 2 fouls here, which is very difficult.
Shot clock winding down. Nice little touch. CSKA Moscow has their first lead after trailing by as many as 8. Here's Kevin Ollie. Started a lot last year. Started when Allen Iverson was out. Also started alongside Iverson. Tried to force his way in there. And a foul's going to be called on Van Den Spiegel. As you mentioned, CSKA Moscow, the defending EuroLeague champions. They've won 5 European championships, always a powerhouse. Karolinko, of course, of the Jazz, and Darius Sangaila still trying to get healthy. Some former players. Now, they're already in their season That's one of the reasons why it's been a little difficult for the NBA teams coming over here. That these teams have already had their camp. They're already in the middle of their regular season, so they're a little more together than the NBA teams right now. Plus, as we talked about last night, Bill, the days of United States dominance are over. These teams are they're talented, they play well, they're very skilled, and they play their international game extremely well. Holden took that extra step.
Mike, that lack of dominance of USA has been not something that's just happened overnight, and not just something that started in the 2002 World Championship in Indianapolis, where the USA took 6th. But go back to 1990, when the Knicks needed Gerald Wilkins' three-pointer at the buzzer at the end of regulation to force overtime against Pacers. Or how about 91, when the Lakers, Magic Johnson and James Worthy barely squeaked by Badalona? 1999, San Antonio with the world champions of Robinson, Duncan, Sean Elliott, Avery Johnson were down at the 40-minute mark and rallied to win at the very end against Varese.
It's been a gradual. So Dallenberg will go to the free throw line. Vanderpool, I believe, called for the foul. Samuel Dallenberg from Haiti. Played a couple of years at Seton Hall before he went to the NBA, and he even admitted he wasn't ready to go to the NBA at that point, but his grandmother, who had raised him back in Haiti, had suffered a stroke. She had piling medical bills, and he simply needed to make some money for his grandmother and his family. That's why he went in. He struggled early in his career, had some injury problems. A couple of years ago, had a terrific season, played well in the postseason 2 years ago.
He was injured while at Seton Hall. When I first met him, when he was playing there, he was in a cast and had a broken foot. But he's going to be critical if the Sixers are ever going to move out of the funk that they're in defensively, where last year they finished 22nd or worse in a 30-team league in the 3 key defensive categories: scoring defense, field goal percentage defense, and rebound margin.
Another turnover for Philadelphia. That's number 8.
Chris Webber.
And Webber comes back in. Javlik Randolph sits down. Nikita Kurbanov back in for CSKA Moscow. Nice steal from Iguodala. Six and a half remaining here in the second, along with Bill Walton, Mike Green on hand from Cologne Germany. Allen Iverson with a bad angle that time, but Dallenberg the rebound. Nice pass. Iguodala the finish.
Andre Iguodala, who played for the Hall of Famer Lute Olson at Arizona, became the only player in that school's incredible history to lead the team in rebounds, assists, and steals in the same season. He did that as they did against Greece, 32% from three-point range and 59% from the foul line. That will always be a point of major concern.
It was such an example of how the other countries just get so fired up against the United States. The ball knocked out of bounds. They'll keep it there.
I'm really looking forward to Vasilis Spanoulis, who was on that Greek team, coming to play for the Houston Rockets and teaming up with Yao Ming and a resurging Tracy McGrady, who we're hearing good things about from the Rockets training camp. Vasilis Spanoulis, had 22 points for Greece in that game.
You know, you see some of these players, these European players that we've watched in Olympics and World Championships, and some of them are so good, and you wonder why they didn't come over and play in the United States. Well, some of them simply don't want to be a role player. They're stars over here in Europe. They get paid a lot of money, and for them to go over to the United States playing the NBA, for some of them, they'd take a pay cut and would come off the bench as Iverson puts it in and draws the foul. Perfect example, Šarūnas Jasikevičius. For so many years, he was the best point guard in Europe. And we'll watch Iverson again.
Down the lane, Iverson just gets bumped. The uncanny ability of little AI to throw it up, but
he was a star.
Jasikevičius is the point guard for Indiana and Larry Bird now.
And now he's a backup player, nice solid backup player, but it's not for all of them. Some of them prefer staying here and obviously being a star player.
To put the money in perspective, Mike, Papaloukas is the highest paid player in the EuroLeague at $5 million a year, which is less than the average salary in the NBA today, and it's 25% of what Chris Webber makes per season.
Now, he probably wouldn't get that in the NBA. He wouldn't get $5 million a year in the NBA, certainly not at this point in his career.
29 years old, Papa Lucas.
Coming up on 5 minutes remaining here in the first half. Weber. Oh, nice pass. Another look to D'Alembert. Chris Weber, always one of the best passing big men in the NBA. And 9 straight points for Philly now.
It's been fun for us to witness the evolution of Chris Weber, particularly his relationship now with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who he's using as a mentor. Kareem came as a featured guest at Chris's Las Vegas Summertime Charity Gala.
That's 4 blocks for D'Alembert.
Kareem was telling me how much fun he had with Chris Weber at the event in Las Vegas, and the no-look drop pass almost as he continues to spin the pirouette that can totally confuse the CSKA defenders.
Holden lost it. Good defense from Willie Green.
Three seconds, you would think.
Good man, a whistle. Weber knocks it down. Now 11 straight points. This is the largest lead for the 76ers.
Messina's going to need to take a timeout here and regroup offensively.
CSKA Moscow, which defeated the Clippers by 19 earlier on this NBA Europe Live tour. Live. Iverson goes for the steal, but couldn't control it.
That picture that we had of the Dome Cathedral, that blue, seemingly painted in structure in front of it, that's a concert venue right on the Rhine River. They're currently having a rock and roll festival there that we hope to be able to get to tonight after this game.
Grateful Dead ever play there, Bill?
No, but Bruce Springsteen, not here, but is in Hamburg tomorrow night in the Seeger Sessions tour.
Another traveling violation. 11 turnovers for CSKA Moscow. You see they're shooting. Good defense from the Sixers. 11 turnovers, 29% shooting.
And that 29% will bring a real surge of pride and joy to the heart of Maurice Cheeks, who's really trying to change the defensive mindset of this team.
Kurbanov with the foul. CSKA Moscow on the penalty. And Weber to the free throw line. Well, Cheeks, number 10, retired by the 76ers. He's a member of that 83 championship team.
Longtime assistant to the Hall of Famer Larry Brown, who was recently relocated back to Philadelphia. Billy King and Maurice Cheeks both saying that Larry's welcome any time to come down, add his wisdom, leadership.
By the way, congratulations to Billy King and his wife. Just had another baby. He was here, went back to be with the new family member. Meanwhile, Weber, 33 years old in his 14th year. This is his 3rd year in Philly, 2nd full season after coming over in that trade from Sacramento. And they started to break up that Kings team that came so close a couple of times. They're getting to a finals. Anderson misses. Weber looking. Iguodala got it. Tried to force it. D'Alembert from point-blank range can't put it in. Iguodala has it.
Inside, you just jump over the top of him and get it up.
And D'Alembert.
Once again, the CSKA big men do not ever leave their feet to go in the air to block shots. When you recognize that in your defensive opponent, you just jump right over the top of him.
And Holden, J.R. Holden from long range, the 30-year-old.
I was talking to J.R. before the game about his dual citizenship. With Vladimir Putin, who's now here in Dresden, Germany, negotiating on all kinds of trade fronts. Vladimir Putin called up J.R. Holden and said, you know, you've been playing so well here for us. How about if we just give you citizenship?
He was the Russian Player of the Year in the Russian Pro League back in 2003, and they gave him that citizenship. I love the scouting report. You read scouting reports of European players, and the scouting report, this is what it said of J.R. Holden. Sometimes his individual plays are more visible than his primary responsibilities, meaning he shoots a lot for a point guard. But he's had a wonderful career. He's also played in Greece, in Latvia, and in Belgium, and he's won a national championship in all three of those and in Russia. So you talk about winning players here in Europe. He's won 4 different national championships in different countries. As Weber knocks down another, and the Sixers now up by 14.
CSKA, which stands for Central Sports Army Club Moscow, Iverson gets transition bucket. They've only scored 2 points in a seeming eternity here.
A 19-2 run. You know, we talked about the NBA teams being a little tired, fatigued right now at this point of the trip. CSKA Moscow looks like a more tired team. As J.R. Holden puts it in.
Every time Philadelphia plays zone, they give up a wide-open jumper. Because this CSKA Moscow team is so exquisitely coached by Messina, they're able to just pick it apart, flash the big man to the high post, and then turn and pick them apart.
Vanderpool with a foul, and Iverson will shoot. And that's what you'll probably see in the United States in international competition. They're going to have to play more zone. In past years, they haven't really had to do it, but it's such an important part of Olympic play and World Championship play, and Messina certainly uses his zone quite a bit.
I would like to see the total elimination of any limitations on defense.
In the NBA?
In the NBA. Just let them play whatever kind of defense you want.
Well, they took a big step a few years back by, the defensive 3 seconds, getting rid of all the illegal defense rules. So it's a step closer. And there's that international rule. Vanderpool, the ball's on the cylinder. You can knock it off once it hits it. One of the differences in rules they're playing.
As Wilt likes to tell Michael Jordan, and they would argue about the greatest of all time, Wilt would say, Michael, when you played, they changed all the rules to make it easier for you to dominate. When I played, they changed all the rules to make it harder for me.
Reaching foul on Weber. There's one of the differences in international ball in the NBA.
The free throw by Iverson off the front of the rim. You come in and you swipe it off. That would be called goaltending, and you would actually get 2 points for that in the NBA. But that's a great defensive play by CSKA Moscow.
And Vanderpool. They're not in the penalty yet, so they'll inbound. Weber sits down with his first foul.
Soft, sagging zone defense by Philadelphia.
J.R. Holden. That's a back-to-back buckets for Holden. He's got 9 points after that three-pointer.
His team, wherever he's played, he's won the championship in 7 of the last 8 seasons.
Iverson, tough shot in traffic. Dallenberg brings it back out again. And another whistle and more free throws for Allen Iverson. That basket will not count.
CSKA Moscow number 9, David Vanderpool, third personal.
Vanderpool picks up his third. So Iverson, as we mentioned, still a Sixer. Another summer with some rumors. Only one active player has played for one team in his career longer than Iverson. That, of course, Kevin Garnett. And there's certain players you just can't picture in another uniform. Although, as we mentioned earlier, Bill, you never thought you'd be able to picture Karl Malone in anything but a Jazz uniform. But you look at Garnett, Iverson, and Kobe Bryant. It'd be nice to see them all finish their careers. But sometimes it doesn't work out that way anymore. There's Ivan McFarland, one of their rookies.
At the lunch today, Michael, we were talking about the changes in Euro basketball. A lot of the executives from the EuroLeague said that free agency, while it has been a huge boon to the NBA, free agency has actually hurt the European leagues.
Willie Green nails a three. Good open look from Willie Green. That won't go. D'Alembert tied up. Out of bounds. And that will end the first half. High hopes for Samuel D'Alembert. David Vanterpool, J.R. Holden, Trajan Langdon, Maciej Smodish, and Thomas Vandenspiegel, the starters for CSKA Moscow.
That possession all Andre Iguodala for Philadelphia. He defends the ball all the way down, forces an errant shot, and grabs the rebound before bringing it up the court to initiate offense.
Right now, Willie Green, that's him with the ball in the starting lineup for the Sixers as Weber misfires. It's Green, Iguodala, D'Alembert, Weber, and Iverson.
CSKA Moscow has to come alive offensively. And I would think that the way D'Alembert is playing, that you'd have to try to get it into an up-tempo game right now.
D'Alembert can run, certainly, and part of his play, they need him to be a shot blocker. Allen Iverson likes to take a lot of chances defensively, and that kind of leaves the inside vulnerable. Smodish shot over Weber.
Smodish just brings so much to the table. A completely versatile player. And that turnaround jump hook a la Kevin McHale or Hakeem Olajuwon.
Weber. Nice floating pass. D'Alembert can't convert, but right there for the foul. Misses 2 layups and then commits a personal. We mentioned the NBA teams all talking about it's been a great experience, but they're all tired. It's been a long trip to have training camp in Europe, although, again, the experience is there. It's been pretty grueling.
But what about the soundbite from Chris Webber? Never a more appropriate statement. Training camp is literally the hardest part of the NBA season. And until you go through one, you just have no idea the responsibilities, the draining nature, the constant obligations and responsibilities you have. It's not just playing basketball 2 hours a day.
Iguodala, meanwhile, nice drive and gets fouled, so chance for a three-point play. Let's not go crazy, though. It still is. It still is fun to play hoops.
Absolutely, but in terms of the lifestyle of the NBA players, the training camp is the most difficult. And I was a little disconcerted at lunch today when David Stern was talking just casually and saying that, you know, while it's been a great experience, he doesn't know when the NBA will do this again. It's cost the league a ton of money to come over and do this. While it will come back at some point, it is a huge commitment by the league and the teams.
Ball thrown away, another turnover. Green, nice pass ahead to Iverson. Alley-oop to Iguodala. 2 beautiful passes. Iverson gets the reaction from the crowd, but Willie Green started it all.
And that charges up this crowd who was expecting a little bit more competitive game.
And CSKA Moscow, as we've said, they beat the Clippers by 19 last week, and D'Alembert comes in and couldn't hold on. He desperately wanted that rebound.
Willie Green deflects the ball initially and over the top to Allen Iverson, who then just flips it up, and few players can throw it down with the authority of another AI, Andre Iguodala.
Iverson with 5 assists.
Now, Mike, have they changed the slam dunk rules for the All-Star weekend after what happened last year with Nate Robinson getting an unlimited number of chances?
I don't know if they've made it official yet, but there was talk of changes. Glad you're worried about that this early. Langdon.
Well, with the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Bureau being one of our main sponsors here in NBA Europe Live, you would think that they would be looking at that right away.
I'm sure they are. 19-point lead for Philadelphia.
Great closeout defense by Iguodala.
Smodish. And D'Alembert knocked it out of bounds.
If Philadelphia plays like this every game in the NBA this year, they will challenge New Jersey for supremacy in the Atlantic Division.
Wow. You think so, really? I don't know if they're ready for that.
Well, these two teams play each other in Philadelphia, New Jersey, and Philadelphia plays Saturday night at the Wachovia Center. And that will be a tough turnaround for these 76ers.
Well, for Philadelphia, it's all about that commitment to defense. If you talk to Mo Cheeks, and we've seen some great signs of it, but it's a matter of coming every night with it.
Iverson again in the passing lanes, and having D'Alembert having a huge game on your backside really helps that.
Holden can't get it. Van Den Spiegel.
Mike, it's been tough for.
By the way, the Sixers, they host the Knicks on Saturday night.
Oh, Saturday night, excuse me. The players told me they were playing New Jersey. That's how long they've been over here. Thank you for correcting me, Mike.
Holden, blocked by D'Alembert. That's his fifth. And then a foul to stop the fast break. Konkrasov with the personal, but Samuel D'Alembert
quickly leaving his own man.
You saw the contact, but D'Alembert went straight up. The arm went forward, but his body was nice and vertical, hence the no call.
Well, but when Holden comes in and against a player who's having a monster game like D'Alembert, you got to think about laying it off to your teammates. There's the zone defense. Who's going to play the high post? Chris Webber can really deliver here.
Not that time as Anderson the rebound. Early third quarter, and Philadelphia with a 19-point comfortable lead.
Like one of the real problems for CSKA Moscow is that Papaloukas only has 1 point. Trajan Langdon only 3. Vanden Spiegel only 2 points. And Vanderpool only 2 points.
J.R. Holden, though, with 10. And they'll try and inch the way back in. Last night's game for Philadelphia was just the opposite. They were down big numbers, down by 22 midway through the third before the bench carried them back for the victory over Phoenix.
It was an inspirational performance, and you saw the support and the cheering and the camaraderie is carried over to tonight's game.
Anderson tips it. They're going to wave it off because his teammate was holding on to the rim. That's where it's offensive interference. You could tip the ball in, but you can't hold the rim.
While the fans are using the derisive whistle, which is the signal of disapproval, and they're holding on to the rim whenever the ball is up there, that is a clear violation of the rules.
By the way, you spoke of Theo Papaloukas says Anderson knocked it down. He looked like he was banged up in the first half. He has not returned to the bench here in the second half. At least we don't see him right now over there. Yes, we'll have a timeout. With 5 minutes gone by here in the third quarter.
England-Portugal match. Netherlands, France playing so well until the final moments with the breakdown of Zinedine Zidane. Congratulations to Italy, a great defensive squad.
Have you ever broadcast soccer? Have you been a soccer analyst?
This is my first event ever broadcast. But I've played a lot of soccer in my 20s, particularly when I was living in Oregon. I used to follow the North American Soccer League with Pele and Malia and Franz Beckenbauer and Berto, the Brazilian team.
Anderson with the jumper, knocks it down.
Finally, penetration and dish, some sort of offensive rhythm and style.
David Anderson played for Australia in the Olympic Games in Greece. Weber, plenty of contact that time. Anderson looks and says, "What are you talking about?" As he whacked Weber. So Chris Webber to the line for 2. Weber, as we mentioned, in his 14th year, he's had quite a career as Messina concerned with his team. Chris Webber, 5-time All-Star, was a former All-NBA first-team member, second team 3 different times. First much of his best years, those 6.5 years with Sacramento, as Papaloukas has returned from the locker room.
And we can only hope that he's able to get back into the action.
Nope, he just received word, Bill. A tight left hamstring. He's done. And that's a big blow for them. Again, although he doesn't start, he plays the crunch time minutes, the fourth quarter, but will not finish tonight as Iverson with another deflection.
And Papaloukas is the player that makes it happen. He's the guy that initiates, that sets everyone up.
Of all the point guards you play for, who was your favorite point guard? A guy like that who set everybody up. Now, I know you're not going to be able to pick one, but just talk about one. And then Spiegel puts it in.
Since we're in Germany, and since there was a parade of UCLA legends that came to Germany, players like John Ecker, who's here tonight in attendance, Terry Schofield.
I knew this was a mistake.
Greg Lee. You asked me about point guards.
I just want one. Who's your favorite point guard to play with? Is Weber. We'll go back to the line again.
The greatest point guard in UCLA history, Greg Lee. And the comment that describes how valuable he was. Jamal Wilkes, a tremendous small forward. When Jamal was on the Lakers before Magic got there with Kareem and Norm Nixon and the like, and Magic joined the Lakers, they all said, "Oh man, this guy's incredible. What about these passes?" They asked Jamal, "What's it like to play with a guy who can pass like that?" And Jamal Wilkes said, quite succinctly, "Hey, I played with Greg Lee." Not bad. But I also played with Dennis Johnson. I also played with Lionel Hollins and Johnny Davis.
During the fourth quarter, we'll list every point guard that Bill played with as Iverson draws the foul. Holden picks up his third, and CSKA Moscow not in the penalty, but it was in the act, so Iverson will shoot. Just under 5 minutes to go here in the third.
The game has not had the rhythm that it had in the early going.
And you know, last night's
turnovers
games,
and Papa Lucas's injury.
Last night's games were played with a little more efficiency. As NBA.com, your home for fantasy basketball. Log on for stats, articles, draft preparation, and free agents, including the Ultimate Fantasy Commissioner, all on NBA.com.
Philadelphia playing some zone defense.
Stephen Hunter in the game. And then Spiegel gets inside.
Philadelphia, under Maurice Cheeks' guidance, they've done an outstanding job of shutting down Trajan Langdon. And it's hurt that Papa Lucas has not been there to help set up Trajan.
Langdon just 1 of 8 from the field. Meanwhile, Chris Webber, he's just 1 of 10. Willie Green. 12-point game. CSKA Moscow trying to inch in closer. They've trailed by as many as 19. They briefly had a 1-point lead. And there's Langdon. And they cut it to single digits.
Maurice Cheeks has seen enough. They've worked so hard. A 13-3 run right now by CSKA Moscow, getting him right back into this game.
Trajan Langdon, the former Duke Blue Devil. Now,
I was interested to hear Chris Webber saying that he was sad that they didn't have ice baths.
One of the difficulties of training camp in Europe. I think also the food on their charter planes not quite up to snuff. Well, the players they've been great in terms of embracing the non-basketball stuff, the community events. As Willie Green takes a seat, Kyle Korver back in.
The double high screen here.
Hunt the shot.
Iguodala is just too good defensively. I think that CSKA Moscow is attacking the wrong man.
And Anderson gets hit. D'Alembert with the foul. So Anderson will go to the line. D'Alembert his second personal. 2 free throws for David Anderson.
Consistency always a problem for Samuel D'Alembert. And if he can get to the level that we've seen tonight on a regular basis, watch out. Because the game has changed so much. And there just aren't any real centers anymore.
Yep.
You got Shaq, who, even though they came back and with a historical level comeback against, in light of one of the great collapses in NBA final history, the Dallas Mavericks, Miami won the championship without Shaq playing that great a ball.
Well, his presence more so than his numbers. Doesn't need to put up those kind of numbers, but his presence just is important in terms of the impact on the game.
But Dallas had him up 2.85 to nothing. And then didn't do anything the rest of the way.
D'Alembert, a rare outside shot, and here's the reason why. 8-point game, just under 3 to play. Here in the third, Ponkrashov. And he gets hit on his way to the basket. 76ers not in the penalty. And it was on the pass off.
Ponkrashov has been interesting tonight. Had the ball in his hands a ton. This is his first season playing for CSKA after spending the previous 2 seasons up in St. Petersburg.
That's his hometown in Russia. That's him. He's a good shooter, one of their young players they're counting on to develop this year. Anderson inside, and he took an extra step. We've seen a lot of traveling calls. The NBA officials, Bernie Fryer and Tom Washington, have been calling them, and as we mentioned earlier, that's one of the points of emphasis for the officials.
Mike, are you old enough to remember the 1998 McDonald's Open when Michael Jordan came to Paris and the referee called the game? Every time Michael touched the ball in the first quarter, called a traveling violation on him. It was unbelievable.
Iverson fouled. Now, we spoke of the points of emphasis. Some of the rule changes this year in the NBA. Coach can call a timeout at any time. Now, obviously, his team has to have possession, but it used to be that only on a suspension of play could a coach call timeout. Now they can call it any time as long as his team has possession. The substitution rule, free substitution during all 20-second timeouts. It used to be only in the last 2 minutes and fourth quarter. It used to be the 1-for-1. The clear path foul, that's a big change. It used to be 1 shot and the possession. Now it's 2 shots and the possession. And then the free throw lane allowances, they're just trying to clean up play. They felt they got a little too scrappy. Players occupying the lane spaces during the free throw line cannot extend any parts of their body into the space in front of the opponent with the arms until the ball is released by the shooter. So they're just trying to clean that up a little bit.
I like all those rule changes. I would like an additional one where they move the free throw rebounding lane blocks up the line closer to the free throw line to not put the defensive rebounder in such a disadvantageous position.
You feel he's too far under
the basket if you're not going to allow him to block out.
So was that? Did you always feel that was a problem?
Absolutely.
Well, it's not in the changes, but it might be a little easier as Iverson knocks down a 3. It might be a little easier now because usually the player on the team that was shooting, he could put his arm in front of him. Now you can't until the ball's released, so that might help a little bit.
Well, that battle for position and supremacy of whose elbow is on top now will be an explosive move as opposed to one of leaning in before the shot is even attempted.
Right. Smotish answers with his own 3. Weber with a little spin.
Chris Weber, who's been wearing the tights in practice to help those aging legs, now in his 14th year. Those tights wisely banned by the NBA this year, except for medical purposes.
D'Alembert got the pass and dumps it in. Nice speed from Allen Iverson, his 7th assist to go along with 22 points. And D'Alembert having a terrific game, 13 points, 13 rebounds, and 5 blocked shots.
And more good signs for Philadelphia in that when Maurice Cheeks has been calling the timeouts, they've come out of every timeout with renewed enthusiasm, commitment to defense, and they played much better.
Chris Weber will go to the bench and get a rest. Of course, he's had his share of injuries. Last year only missed 7 games, but it wasn't because of the knees. It was the back last year. The knees partially responsible. And he knows he's had to adjust. He certainly doesn't jump. He doesn't have the athletic ability he used to, but still able to get it done. With terrific numbers last year on the offensive end.
I like Chris Weber's comments on how he used to play with Ben Wallace and the favorable comparisons of Ben Wallace with Samuel D'Alembert's potential. And the ability of Chris Weber now to capitalize on what D'Alembert can mean to an aging Chris Weber.
And you see his numbers from last year always also averaged 10 rebounds. See the shooting numbers down at 43% last year. Meanwhile, that foul, the 4th on Van den Spiegel.
But what a career it's been for Chris, and always on the grandest of stages.
Well, you look overall, his career numbers, Weber, just under 22 points a game, averaging 10 boards a game, 4.5 assists a game, a block, 1.5 blocks, 1.5 steals. When he was in his athletic prime, he just did so many things for Sacramento. But they couldn't get over the hump to get to the finals.
Numbers-wise, both are Hall of Fame numbers.
Microsoft will set it up at a 6-second difference between shot and game clock. Smodish left open. He's a good three-point shooter. Not that time. And D'Alembert with the primal scream after grabbing the rebound in traffic. Final seconds, third quarter. Iverson hit a three to end the half last night. Not that time.
And he can't believe that he missed it.
Very strong defensive game, Bill.
But right now, with the good run over the last 4 minutes, 11 seconds, 15-3 by CSKA Moscow, fans are looking for a little bit more competitive game as we're into the fourth. With Kyle Korver posting up.
Korver trying to expand his game, be known as more than a shooter. He had 7 rebounds last night. And Iverson in and out. Pashutin, Zachar Pashutin, who just checked in with the rebound. Nice hands by Carney. And we're going to look now at Rodney Carney, the rookie from Memphis, who was so impressive last night. Did some scoring last night, but he's a very good defensive player as well. Or at least was in college. It's a big adjustment to now do it in the NBA. Pashutin.
Speaking of Rodney Carney, I was chatting with him before the game. Turns out he's a track and field star as well. He was a state champion in high school, right? And he jumped 7'2" in practice and actually won the state championship with a 7-foot lead.
Pretty impressive as Korver hits a three. Quick release from Korver. He's got 9. And the Sixers, just like that, have equaled their largest lead of the game.
Love the way that Korver moves without the ball, particularly off of Iverson. His teams last year, they just stayed at home on him. And he was still able to be in the top 10 in three-point shooting.
Smodish, that's a goaltend, clearly on the way down. D'Alembert, though, has been a big presence in the middle for Philly. And the crowd hoping that CSKA Moscow can make a little run.
D'Alembert with 5 blocks. Reminiscent there of a very young Patrick Ewing at Georgetown, who just stand in front of the rim and knock everything down and figured the referees would just only call some of them.
Randolph gets hammered, and then Spiegel will pick up another personal.
Moscow, 32, Thomas von den Spiegel, false personal.
So Randolph will shoot 2. They hope Shoplik Randolph can help out a little bit in the front court this year for Philly. This is his second year out of Duke. Last year he played about 57 games, started just one, didn't play a lot. What happened to him was he broke his left foot in the summer, so he started the season a little behind the 8 ball. Was not drafted out of Duke.
But he's a nice player who was competing against players who were much bigger, much stronger, much older, physically more mature, and now has to find a way to compete the same way that Rodney Carney is going to have to find as he goes up against the most gifted athletes and winners of the genetic lottery that this world has ever seen.
We're here in Cologne, Germany, as the NBA Europe Live Tour comes to an end. This is the final game. And the Philadelphia 76ers playing the defending EuroLeague champions, CSKA Moscow, as we have an offensive foul. Philadelphia beating Phoenix last night to advance to this game. CSKA Moscow defeating Maccabi Tel Aviv. And the head coach for the defending champs in the EuroLeague, Ettore Messina, very successful coach in Italy and now in the EuroLeague.
Holden trying once again to put pressure on Allen Iverson.
Iverson gets hit, and Holden will pick up his 4th.
And that's what is so tough about guarding Allen Iverson. You do everything right, as Holden did in that particular instance, and you force him into an unbelievably difficult shot. But Allen Iverson, he can make those look routine. And get to the free throw line.
Right. This will be his 16th and 17th free throws of the game. Reminder, NBA TV Tuesday. Maccabi Tel Aviv will play the Cavs in Cleveland Coverage at 7 p.m. And then TNT next Thursday, Clippers and Lakers coverage beginning at 10 p.m. And on ESPN, we'll have the Rockets and the Heat. On Wednesday, the 25th, coverage beginning at 7:30. The defending champs. 20-point lead. And that's the largest of the game.
Miami only scoring 64 points, a franchise low last night in Puerto Rico against Detroit. In their opening exhibition game where Dwayne Wade and Shaquille both played significant minutes.
You know, Bill, you talk about that with Miami and any team. You know, you win a championship as Randolph gets inside. You're playing so many good games in May and June. Now you have to start again the season. That's got to be one of the toughest things about repeating is to get yourself fired up for the regular season again.
Without question. You never remember who won and lost the exhibition games. I've been on championship teams that couldn't win an exhibition game. I've been on last place teams that won all the exhibition games.
But even when the regular season starts, because now everybody wants to beat Miami. Everybody wants to beat the champs. And the East has some improvement. Chicago is going to be fun to watch with now Ben Wallace. They get P.J. Brown.
Chicago and Cleveland are going to have great regular seasons. Whether that will translate into playoff success remains to be seen.
Let's not forget Washington that gave Cleveland a battle last year in the first round.
That was a tremendous series. Gilbert Arenas versus LeBron James.
As Iverson knocks it down. And don't forget the New Jersey Nets as well. And you have Kid Carter and Jefferson. Hakershoff in and out. As this one turning into a blowout. Like CSKA Moscow is going to make a game of it. They cut it to 8 late in the third. But now the Sixers pulling away.
Philadelphia has played better tonight than they did last night against an inferior opponent tonight in relation to last night.
This has been their best performance so far in the preseason. A 24-point advantage here in the fourth quarter from Germany.
Really changed is the talent gap. Because the rest of the world with improved nutrition, improved training techniques, the ability to develop physical specimens that can compete with the USA's top specimens.
Also, a lot of it, too, is basketball has become popular, so now some of the best athletes are playing basketball as opposed to, it wasn't a sport the best athletes in countries would think of playing. And the coaching, of course, with all the clinics. Our colleague Hubie Brown, of course, spending so many years with Jack Ramsey and teaching the game to so many coaches.
Calvin Murphy, the Hall of Famer, was very involved in those coaching clinics as well. Russia, which is the world's largest country by landmass and sixth most populous country in the world, they didn't get their first NBA player until 1995 when Sergei Basarevich went and played for the Atlanta Hawks.
Meanwhile, that last bucket makes it a 19-point game. Shavlik Randolph trying to get inside, forces the action. Vanderpool. And Vanderpool very active. You can see why he's been such a success here in Europe. Draws the foul and he'll go to the line for 2. And you see from back in 1984 where there were just 10 international players in the NBA. You look 21 years later, 82 this past season. And not only 82, but so many of them now playing key roles, so many of them stars. And you look at the likes of Pau Gasol and Dirk Nowitzki and Yao Ming.
And Manu Ginobili.
And from
Steve Nash.
And not just from one area, from so many different places, Bill.
Which brings us to Detlef Schrempf from Germany, who started just outside of Cologne in Leverkusen, where he was coached by all those UCLA legends, including Greg Lee.
Korver. And there's Carney. Carney's been quiet, hasn't played as much, and gets called for a travel. Of course, for me, one of the highlights ever was this scene 2 years ago in Shanghai. So many people ride bicycles. It's such a big mode of transportation there, and you created quite a disturbance.
That was a great time.
And to go from Shanghai up to Beijing and ride through Tiananmen Square and then go down to Shangri-La from Beijing, where I got to spend 2.5 weeks before the start of the NBA season.
Iverson wanting to wind this one down against Sixers, and the Suns will leave tomorrow. Carver inside. Ball tipped. Langdon, as you said, has been quiet. He's 3 of 10 from the field. The Sixer defense a big part of that.
I was talking to Trajan because I was looking at the notes, and they list him as being from Palo Alto, and I always thought he was from Anchorage.
Well, he was born in Palo Alto, went to high school in Alaska.
Turns out he was born at the Stanford Hospital, and when he was 3 months old, he moved to Anchorage. 3-time high school player of the year up in Anchorage.
Before going to Duke.
And what a 1999 championship game that was. With Hamilton, just really one of the great performances in the history of NCAA Final Four competition.
Well, Langdon had a big game in the title game, but he also committed a turnover down the end. That was tough, but they wouldn't have been anywhere close if it wasn't for his performance up until then. Had a terrific career at Duke, and now having a superb Andrei Vorontsevich, the 19-year-old Russian. 19-year-old who looks like he's about 14. He doesn't play much. He's one of the younger players, again, that they're trying to build. 6'7" swingman with a nice touch.
This is his first season with CSKA Moscow. Did get a gold medal with Russia at the 2006 Global Games played down in Dallas, where he had a nice showing. Championship game played against Lithuania, he was solid.
The Global Games? I'm familiar with the Global Games.
Like, you need to get out more.
They call a lane violation. By the way, that's another one of the part of the new rules for the NBA this year. Which Cheek's not happy with the Greek official. Is you used to be allowed, if you weren't along the lane, you could be in the corner as long as you're behind the three-point line and try and sneak in. Now everybody who's not along the lane has to be above the free throw line extended. So that's another minor change. You'd see players, you mentioned Manu Ginobili, he used to do that a lot. He'd stay in the corner and off the release come flying in.
And then there's nobody to block him out.
Right. Weber just kind of hoisted up there. Players become very sloppy here in the last couple of minutes. Both teams shooting poorly.
No one did that better than Michael Jordan, who would come from outside the lane before anybody else even thought of it. Michael Jordan was coming in to stick back missed free throws with monstrous throwdowns.
Shot clock down to 2. Iguodala just gets it off inside, but doesn't hit the rim, so a shot clock violation. Now you're watching and you see why Mo Cheeks has his starters in the game, all but Korver are starters. And a lot of it has to do with, this is why the people came. They came to see Allen Iverson and Chris Webber, part of the whole European tour.
And a lot of these starters did not play in the second half much last night. It was the second unit led by Rick Brunson.
David Anderson knocks it down.
Rodney Carney had the big game.
Carney and Brunson and Korver. Again, the Sixer bench, that's going to be very important for them this year. They did not have the most productive bench last year.
Alan Henderson did a nice job early on. Stephen Hunter will be counted on mightily this year for Philadelphia. Over the top to Weber.
Someone likes it.
Just taking advantage of the mismatch, which is the real liability of when you play the zone defense. You have no idea who's guarding who.
Trajan Langdon short. Iverson had it, lost it. Iverson, by the way, has had a terrific game. 28 points, 9 assists, 5 rebounds. He just took a shot from Anderson inadvertently.
Anderson just cleared him out of the way. Trying to look more like football out there.
Is that European football?
No,
or
American football. This would be.
Korver, there's a quick release. Yeah, we talked about this last night. And Weber puts another one. How about Dallenberg? 18 rebounds. The new ball, in watching it, players have been complaining about the new synthetic ball, but It doesn't seem to be a problem holding on to it too much tonight.
I think it's going to work out, Mike.
Now, for the first time in over 30 years, the NBA switching balls from the traditional leather to this synthetic new ball made of the composite material. And the early returns from the players have been thumbs down until once it gets wet, it's far too slippery. David Stern, the commissioner, saying the other day that they will look into it, further testing, and if it's not working, they'd go back. But right now, they're going to stay the course. Boy, this is turned into a preseason extraordinaire.
But maybe one of the benefits will be if you can't grip it as well, maybe there'll be less holding of the ball and maybe more two hands on it to try to throw some accurate passes. Hard foul that time.
As Korver gets hit with 3 minutes remaining. And there's a look at the new ball. Again, the reason Spalding came to the NBA a few years back and said, you know what, the leather ball, it's tough to get consistent leather. It's also more expensive. As Iverson takes a seat and gets a nice ovation, as does Weber. So the league said, all right, come up with something. And this is what they came up with. They feel it's going to be a better ball. The players just need to get used to it. But so far, bad reviews from the players. So Iverson, a terrific night.
But there's always resistance to change. That sense of familiarity with the old ball, which you would get as a rookie. They just give you one to take home, and you just have it right there underneath your arm at all times. You do that for a long, long time. Then all of a sudden, they give you something new, and you're supposed to like it immediately. That's really not the way life works.
I like when you go on these little talks about life in the NBA. Artrasevich and Iguodala the rebound. 20-point lead for the Sixers. Just under 3 minutes remaining here in the fourth. And the Sixers will call a timeout as they finish up their tour here in Germany. And that's the Dome Cathedral, one of the top tourist sites.
So it was a tremendous situation, the relationship between Germany and Italy, and now we are here for the second time in 2 years. And we spent a week 2 years ago in the lead up to the Athens Olympics with the dream team here, led by Allen Iverson and Tim Duncan.
Of course, Cologne proud of the Dome, and Heidi Klum, one of their more famous natives, as Williams missed the first. So we mentioned it's the fourth largest city in Germany. It's very known for its chocolate. And one of the most popular athletes, Michael Schumacher, so huge, a race car driver, along with Heidi.
So in the two games you mentioned it's the fourth largest city. Give me the three largest.
I don't know.
Berlin, Hamburg, and Munich.
Munich is number 3?
Yes.
Where is Frankfurt?
Frankfurt is not a very large city. But Cologne, which has just slightly less than 1 million people in the metropolitan area, 82 million people total in this beautiful country.
Well, here Cologne, I don't know if you use the word quaint, Spiegel, but people so warm and friendly. And it's Philadelphia opening up their 19-point lead with a little over 2 minutes remaining. Actually, they led by as many as 24.
But what a great sight from the lunch site today when you were with David Stern and looking back across the Rhine River at the Dome and at the Rock and Roll Palace there and the train bridge.
Langdon, the high arcing three-pointer. The Sixers have emptied their benches. Bobby Jones, the rookie from Washington, is in. Ivan McFarland, the rookie from Oklahoma State. Lewis Williams is in as well. There's McFarland. And Stephen Smith, who you spoke about, the kid from LaSalle, the local Philly product. Off the hands of McFarland.
I was talking with Stephen Smith before the game tonight with Jimmy Lynam, who's also from Philadelphia. Coach Lynam was pointing out that he's from LaSalle. And I said, well, you must know Michael Brooks then, who was a tremendous NBA player. And I believe may still be playing professionally somewhere here in Europe. After a legendary career at LaSalle.
Lionel Simmons, great career at LaSalle. There's J.R. Holden.
The offense has just not been there tonight for CSKA Moscow. And it's disappointing because this is a very good basketball team.
Nice pass. Rick Brunson trying to get that third point guard spot. He played very well last night. Brunson, a very solid journeyman.
But this is what happens when your most important player cannot play due to injury. You know, with Papa Lucas out with the hamstring tonight, it made for not the competitive game that we were anticipating.
Played just very briefly in the first half. Van den Spiegel. And mercifully, this one coming to an end. This was tough to watch down the stretch after the Sixers blew it open. And again, Philadelphia and Phoenix. Phoenix played earlier tonight. They both fly home tomorrow morning and continue their preseason as they get ready for the NBA regular season.
Trajan Langdon, who did not get an athletic scholarship at Duke because he was already a professional baseball player.
Right.
Makes the nice closing layup here.
Ball knocked out of bounds, and the crowd that's still here, many of them standing with an ovation. It's been a thrill for them to see the NBA of the last couple of nights, as it's been throughout this NBA Europe Live Tour. And the Sixers finished nicely, winning last night against Phoenix